All right, so good evening. Good evening to everyone joining me on the live, on the YouTube, and on Facebook, Constructive Talk. Thank you all very much for joining me this evening on the live. I am really happy that you all would have chosen to be with me this evening on Constructive Talk. This evening program is going to be very interesting. I have a guest coming on with me this evening. This evening, my dad would not be with me, but I have a guest that's going to be with me on with me this evening, and it's going to be a very interesting conversation that we are going to be having because from now until whenever the unions are going to be in our faces, and it's going to be a conversation that is going to be on everybody's lips, really and truly. People are going to be talking about it. So I'm going to have the president of the San Fernando City Corporation workers with me this evening. She's going to be joining me in a short, and we're going to be having her on. Yes, we're going to be having her on to talk to us about what's going on at the San Fernando City Corporation and the protest that took place today. For those of you who don't know, there was a protest that took place today at the San Fernando City Corporation where they are demanding their monies. They are demanding their monies, yeah. They are supposed to get some money, and apparently they haven't gotten the money as yet. So the union leader, is making demands. And, when people are making their demands, it's important that you listen to their demands. So, yeah, the union leader is making her demands, and she's saying that, hey, I need my money. All right, we need our money. So we're going to have a discussion with her this evening. So I want you to share the live, and I want you to tell me where you're looking at me from so that I can shout you out now. You know what I mean? Could shout you out. I can shout you out. So for those of you who are now joining me, let me say good evening to you guys, and thank you all very much for being a part of Constructive Talk. And as I said earlier on this evening, we are going to have the union leader with us, and I'm going to try to call her, Miss Debik, right now. So let's see if I get her on the line. So we have some discussions that we're gonna have. I'm gonna be talking to you guys about this evening. We are going to look at several things. All right, we're going to be looking at several things this evening. So yeah, I hope you had a good day today. I really, really hope that you had a good day today. Today was very rainy. Very, very rainy today.
sin. Jesus came into my heart and soul and gave me peace within. So I bury thee, all Adam, and rise in Christ at last. I am free from all guilt and the sins of the past. I'm bound to give him glory, I'm bound to give him praise. I'm bound to give him glory, I'm bound to give him praise. I was lost without hope, I was sinking deep in sin. Jesus came into my heart and soul and gave me peace within. So I bury thee, O Lord, I rise in Christ at last. I am free from all sin and the guilt of the past. I'm bound to give him glory, I'm bound to give him praise. I'm bound to give him glory, I'm bound to give him praise. To you who don't know Jesus, I sing for you today. You don't know what you are missing out. Come to and don't delay. He gave us free salvation by dying on the cross. If you come to Jesus, all your sins are lost. I'm bound to give him glory, I'm bound to give him praise. I'm bound to give him glory, I'm bound to give him praise. Now I look into a future of life abundantly, walking on the streets of gold and singing jubilee. The one who brought salvation, I see him face to face. I sing about deliverance and boast about his grace. I'm bound to give him glory, I'm bound to give him praise. I'm bound to give him glory, I'm bound to give him praise. To you who don't know Jesus, I sing for you today. You don't know what you are missing out. Come to it.
All right, so I'm back with you. I am back with you. So let me see if I can get her on the phone line. And let me see if I can get her on the phone line. All right, so the phone is ringing, and I will wait to see if she does answer. And yeah, have a conversation with her this evening. All right, so Trinidad and Tobago, those of you who locked on to Constructive Talk.
9.
All right, so she doesn't answer. I would have spoken to her earlier on today, and I asked her for an interview. All right, and she would have agreed. So let's see again if I can get her on the phone line.
Good night.
Hi, good evening. How are you? Hello?
Good night.
Are you hearing me?
Hello, good night.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good night.
You hearing me?
Hello, good night. Hello.
Hello, how are you? Hello? All right, let me try and see if I can get her again. All right, so Trinidad and Tobago, bear with me.
San Fernando City Corporation daily paid workers are one of the 8 companies that we represent.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are not just for San Fernando City Corporation workers, but you represent other workers.
Correct?
Okay. So I can come and join the union then.
You can't just come and join a union. The union has to have the RMU, the recognized majority union. So
Okay.
if it is you are in a company, what you need to do is to get your workers together and get them unionized.
Oh.
If you have a case, we can represent you.
Okay.
But the case must not be on terms and conditions. We could
Okay.
only represent workers with terms and conditions for the companies that we have recognition status for.
Okay.
So once you do not have recognition status for a company with workers, then you could only represent those workers on rights issues only, not terms and conditions.
Wow. All
And a right issue, example, you get terminated from your job, we can take up the matter and represent you. But if it is you work with a company and you want increases in your salary or you're looking at different areas, we cannot represent you because we do not have the recognition certificate for that company.
Good. Cool. Right. All right. Okay. I understand. So I have to come and talk to you. Where is your office located?
Contractors and General Workers Trade Union office is located at 37 Rushworth Street in San Fernando. So that building, a yellow building opposite Phelan Street. And there is a sign that indicates that it's Contractors and General Workers Trade Union.
All right. And what days are you in office, if you don't mind me asking?
A trade union does not have office days. Any day, anytime.
Okay. All right.
Once the demand is there and the workers need you, you have to present yourself. So to say a trade union is not an 8 to 4 job.
Okay. All right. Okay. So just for the sake of persons who are now coming on, we have 666 persons on the live, and they're now coming on. Could you just tell them again who you are so that they can be they will be familiar with your voice and what you represent?
Sure. My name is Ermin de Beek Mead, President General of the Contractors and General Workers Trade Union. I am the first female to hold this position at the union. The Contractors and General Workers Trade Union represents the daily paid workers of the San Fernando City Corporation, along with 7 other companies that we have recognition status for.
Okay.
One of the companies are Lake Asphalt 1978 Limited,
Beautiful.
where we represent the hourly weekly, that is one bargaining unit. The junior staff is another bargaining unit, and the senior staff is another bargaining unit. So within one company, we have 3 different bargaining units.
Okay.
We represent the daily paid workers at Court/Unicoma. We represent some of the monthly paid at Alston, I refer to as Abel. We represent the monthly paid workers at Massey Stores. We also represent the daily paid workers at Tucker, at IL Engineering, and what other company? Rope Works in Arima. We represent the daily paid workers up there also.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me ask you this, because this is a contentious and a statement that you always hear people making without having any facts on it. And you hear people continuously making this statement. And I'm glad that you told me that you are the union representing the Lake Asphalt staff down there. Is it true to say that that Lake Asphalt or the pitch lake has been sold? Because you hear people saying that the pitch lake is sold to the Chinese and or it's leased out to the Chinese. Is that a true statement that people make from time to time?
What I know is that Lake Asphalt belong to the residents of Trinidad and Tobago.
Right. So all that nonsense talk all here, who just be wanting to message me and tell me about the place sold to the Chinese. You heard it for yourself from the president who represents the workers down there. All right? But
If it was sold to the Chinese, why is it carrying the name Lake Asphalt 1978 Limited of Trinidad and Tobago? Anytime somebody purchase a company, of course, they would change the name and they would brand the company.
Yeah, they will rebrand it to their liking.
Exactly.
Very true. So, tell us, you have made the headline. You and the PSA was the headline news this evening. But I don't want you to talk nothing about the PSA. I want you to tell us what is happening. What is happening in the San Fernando City Corporation, or not just the San Fernando City Corporation, but your work. You represent people who were supposed to be getting their back pay or getting some monies that you were talking about. Explain to us, what is this about that made you launched into the spotlight this evening?
Okay, I know you said don't talk about PSA, but I have to talk about PSA.
Oh no, but I mean don't talk about PSA. I meant it.
No, hear me out. Hear me out. You know where I'm going.
All right.
The president of PSA is Comrade Sister Felicia Thomas. I support Comrade Felicia Thomas 100%. The sister has worked hard. She put in the work. And she got not really what she wanted, but she got a result that she felt that is reasonable. And I support her 100%.
Okay. So tell us, what is your...
Going back to San Fernando City Corporation.
Yes. So tell us, what's happening?
Okay, let me go back a little bit. My union, which is the Contractors and General Workers Trade Union, represents the daily paid workers of the San Fernando City Corporation. We, at the point in time when the 2% was offered for 002 for 2014 to 2016 and 00% for 2017 to 2019, we did not sign the collective agreement, because myself and the executive thought that what the government was offering was not sufficient and a true representation of a living wage. So we would have continued to negotiate with the CPO. We looked at ways and means whereby we would have been able to get something better than the 4% that was placed on the table. NUGE represents all the daily paid workers in Trinidad and Tobago, except the Port of Spain City Corporation and the San Fernando City Corporation. For years, the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation has been complaining about the disparity in the wage rate. An example, a mason that works at San Fernando City Corporation is paid less than a mason that works under Nuge, maybe the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Health, the other 12 corporations, they are paid more than the workers of San Fernando City Corporation. So it's about 15 years the workers of San Fernando City Corporation has a disparity in rates. My predecessors were told by the past CPO that the reason why those workers' rates are more than the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation, it is because a job evaluation was done. And coming out of the job evaluation, and that job evaluation was done somewhere in 2005, and coming out of that job evaluation, they would have placed those rates on those job titles. When I took over as President General of the Union, I decided to go a little deeper and dig. My arguments were the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation are not the ones responsible for conducting a job evaluation. The persons responsible for conducting a job evaluation is the CPO department, who would make contact with necessary personnel to provide that job evaluation. So all the years the CPO department was not paying the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation the correct rates. The saying was that no job evaluation was performed. And I was very steadfast in my arguments to the CPO this time around that the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation must not be held ransom for a job evaluation not being performed. And I indicated to them that there must be an alignment of wage rates. And I indicated to the CPO, we are now negotiating for the period 14 to 16 and 17 to 19, and therefore the alignment of rates must kick in from the 1st of January 2014. The CPO, Dr. Commander Dindial, indicated the government could not carry that burden, and for the new rates, the alignment of the rates will be introduced on the 1st of January 2019. And I told him that we are not prepared to accept no alignment from the 1st of January 2019. The negotiations continued, and then he moved in 2019 and indicated they will implement the new alignment on the 1st of January 2017. And that is the final offer being placed on the table by the CPO. I indicated to him that we will not be signing any collective agreement if the alignment is not placed on the table from the 1st of January 2014. I went back to my membership. I called a membership meeting and I informed them where we are as it relates to negotiations. I took my time to explain to them what is taking place as it relates to their rates, and they indicated to me once I can get the CPO to agree to apply the new rates from the 1st of January 2014 and then place the 2% from 2014 to 2016 and the next 2% from 2017 to 2019, they gave me the assurance to sign. So we went back around the table, and the CPO was very adamant. I got a call from the then Prime Minister, Mr. Stuart Young, and he met with us, and I laid out what was taking place as it relates to the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation and the disparity in the rates, and I indicated to him how much years that these workers were not being paid the same rates as the workers under NUG. And he agreed, and he gave the Minister of Finance at that time the directive to inform the CPO that the new rates for the workers, the alignment of the rates for the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation should be applied from the 1st of January 2014. When we met with the CPO, he would have placed it on the table that the alignment of the new rates would start from the 1st of January 2014, and then the 2% would be placed on the salary after the alignment of the wage rates, and then the next 2% would be applied to the rates for 2017 to 2019. And once that was placed on the table, we agreed, and the collective agreement was signed for the period 2014 to 2016, and the second period 2017 to 2019. Those signing of those collective agreements took place on the 24th of April 2025. When we signed those agreements, I asked the CPO, when will the new rates be applied and when will the arrears be paid? At that point in time, the CPO gave the union the assurance that the new rates would be applied to the daily paid workers of the San Fernando City Corporation in the month of August 2025, and the arrears would be paid on or before Christmas of 2025. When the month of August came and ended, I made contact with the CPO, Dr. Commander Dindial. At that point in time, he indicated to me that there was a new government in place, and therefore he is now having dialogue with the Minister of Finance. I contacted the CPO again at the end of September, and he indicated to me that we have to wait until the budget is read. We waited until the budget was read, and we contacted the CPO again. The CPO indicated to me that he is having dialogue with the minister and he would communicate with us. When the budget was read by the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Finance indicated that they are aware that unions would have signed collective agreements and they will be honoring those collective agreements that were signed off. What makes the difference with the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation is that we were the only union out of the 5 unions that would have signed. We were the only union that would have signed for the period 2014 to 2016 and 2017 to 2019. The other 4 unions were signing for the period 2020 to 2022. What got the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation annoyed is that when the CPO would have made the pronouncements that they would be making payments to the workers of PSA before Christmas, the workers indicated to me as their leader how it is that PSA has now signed off their collective agreement 2 days ago, and the CPO and the minister has agreed to make payments to them. And their union would have signed off their collective agreement for the same period on the 24th of April, and we haven't gotten any word when the workers' new rates would be placed on their salaries and their arrears be paid. So coming out of that, the workers took a decision that we must tell the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago what is taking place. And I would like to indicate that we would have signed on the 24th of April as stated before. And the CPO department never gave the management of San Fernando City Corporation no directive as it relates to the signing of these collective agreements. San Fernando City Corporation did not get a copy of the signed collective agreement so that they could have started putting things in place as it relates to the calculation of the back pay. And it begs me to ask the question, is it that the CPO and the CPO department was sidelining the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation? Because if it is, we would have signed all those months ago. And they did not give the San Fernando City Corporation no directive. How can the CPO come on the national television and indicate to the public of Trinidad and Tobago that he is pleased and he will put everything in place for the workers of PSA to be paid? There is no equity. How can it be? How can the workers of San Fernando City Corporation sit idly by and look at the workers who would have now signed, their union would have now signed 2 days ago, getting preferential treatment, and knowing that their union would have months ago, and no pronouncement is being made as it relates to their payment and the application of their new rates?
You know, listening to you says to me that you all would have, the CPO would have said, here what? When you call him, you said to him, CPO, August has gone. And you would have said to us that we would have started to see payments in August. August has gone. What is going on? He said to you, there is a new government in place. I am talking to the minister. And clearly, the CPO did talk to the minister because in the minister's budget presentation, San Fernando City Corporation was mentioned.
Correct.
So clearly, the minister is in the know. He knows exactly what is due to the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation. And,
correct.
And my humble and my logic or my thinking is, you see, the PSA was in the news. The PSA was in the news. The PSA was in the was in the minds and in the face of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The PSA and the CPO was all over the news. papers, TV, social media. So everybody was focused on to see the outcome of how this CPO, PSA, 10%, how it would pan out. So it has panned out in the public domain, and people are now aware that, okay, this is what's going to happen. But you now, as rightfully so, as a leader, is saying, hey, while only jumping and dancing and making only pronouncement, while I'm happy for the public servants getting their money,
Correct.
don't forget that you have made an agreement with us. You already breached the agreement because you said to us in August. You broke that agreement with us. I have spoken to you, I've compromised with you, so that you said, okay, give the government some time. It's a new government. Let us wait until after the budget. The budget has been read and gone. 7 months now. What is our position? Because we're seeing other colleagues, other comrades are happy. Are we happy for them too? But hey,
correct.
don't forget us. Don't forget us, because you cannot have one child happy. It's like a parent. You have 2 children. You made a promise, and listen to this. You made a promise to that child first before this other one.
Yes.
This other child get everything that they ask for. And it's like we feel like if we are the bastard child, we are the forgotten ones. No.
And you know the thing about it? We are not asking for what we did not sign for.
Thank you.
We are saying what we signed for, give us that. We did not get 10%, but we got leveling up, and that is what we signed for.
Beautiful.
So there are mischief taking place whereby people are indicating that we are asking for 10%.
No, you all are
We
not.
ask for the leveling up and
Yes.
equity of daily paid workers.
Beautiful.
You to represent the majority of daily paid workers have not signed yet. So if they go to the table and they sign next year, that means their rates will be higher than the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation.
Yeah.
So when we go to the table for 2020 to 2022, we will address that.
Right.
But give us what we signed for.
Yes. Give us not just and yes, what you signed for, but you acknowledged it in your budget response, in your budget presentation. You acknowledge.
Yes.
It's not as though you didn't. You talk about tutor, you talk about this one, you talk about, and you did not mention San Fernando. You mentioned us, so it means then that you have budgeted for us.
Yes, correct. You couldn't have put it more better. They did budget for our payment.
Why we can't get it?
I don't know.
Is it that they may be contemplating giving you all bonds?
No how, nowhere. That was never part of the agreement. Never part of the agreement. These workers don't work for million. These workers are workers to the bottom of the barrel. They are the bottom of the barrel. They need cash payment.
So what does the union plan to do now that you all are putting your voice out there? Let me say good evening to the 1,406 persons on the live. You bring all the people, Miss Lady. Yo, bring all the people on the live. Let me say good evening to those of you who are joining us. And if you're now joining us, well, you're coming late, but you will get the tail end and you will understand that this lady, the Miss Big, is fighting on behalf of the workers of the San Fernando City Corporation for their just due.
And you know what I want to place on the table?
Tell me.
Because coming out of my interview this morning, there is a lot of persons putting out things on Facebook. And one of the criticism that was placed, the individual indicated when you signed that collective agreement, a different government was in power. And I agree with them.
Right.
But when PSA signed the collective agreement for the NIB workers, there was a different government in power.
Beautiful.
How it is that the workers, the PSA members working in NIB was paid.
Right.
So all the arguments that people are putting out there
Yeah.
cannot override what is taking place. And I want to ask the Minister of Finance, what is his intention as it relates to the payment of the daily paid workers of the San Fernando City Corporation? We went to the table, we negotiated, we agreed, we signed terms and conditions. We got the assurance for when the money will be paid. And today, tonight, this very minute as I speak, we have no assurance when the workers' new rates will be placed on their wages and their arrears to be paid.
Wow. You know, but even in the reasoning or the discussion that you were just talking about with the person on social media who would have said that when you would have signed that agreement, you signed it under another regime. So this regime has a right to change the whatever. But the minister did not say that in the budget. The minister did not say that in the budget. The minister said in the budget that he knows that you all have signed off on an agreement and he is going to pay.
Yes, correct.
So then why people are trying to nullify or make it look as though this is not what is the agreement? No, that is unfair. That is unfair, and you are correct. When the PSA would have signed off for NIB workers, come on, it was a different government in place, but they got their money.
Correct.
The same way with T and Tech. The T and Tech workers who got the COLA. That was signed on another government, and then this government come and fulfill it. What was that about? And you know what upsets me is that people who do things or write things like that or put things out like that, they don't understand that, as you rightfully said, it's a simple people. These are simple people. These are people who, you know, they genuinely work hard for their money. They are daily paid. These people
Correct.
genuinely work, come out early, and do what they have to do. Why shouldn't they ask for their just due? And not just that, why shouldn't they demand what is already promised to them?
Exactly. Demand is the correct word. Demand. Because this is something that was signed off.
So how are you all? What are your next step, Mr. Beek?
Well, we would have written the Minister of Finance today.
Right.
This document went out.
Mr. Tanku.
And we await a response from the Minister of Finance.
Right.
In my press statement, press interview, I called on the Honorable Prime Minister, Senior Counsel, Kamala Prasad, to intervene and ensure that the Minister of Finance does what is right. So we await the response from the Minister of Finance.
And if he doesn't respond, what is your next step?
Well, I cannot say. The people of Trinidad and Tobago will see and hear.
Wow. 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 This is very heartbreaking. Because there are people who are rejoicing and there are people who are upset.
Yes. And I continue to make the statement that we are all comrades together. We are happy for the PSA workers. We are happy. But at the same time, we are sad. Because we are not getting our rightful share of the pie. The piece of the pie that we would have signed for. We are not asking for a piece of the pie that we did not sign for. And this is what I want the people of Trinidad and Tobago to understand. We have not put anything new on the table. What we are asking, and we have passed the stage of asking, we are demanding now. Because after all this much is no longer asking, we are demanding for our right due.
Right.
We have a collective agreement that was signed. 2 different blocks. One for the the CPO and the representatives of the CPO department, the union, the president general, the executive, and the branch members of the San Fernando City Corporation.
Okay.
And that should be honored.
Yes. Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. Well, Ms. DeBeek, I am going to save your number and I want you to keep me abreast on how this is going. All
Surely,
right?
you would hear. Surely.
All right. I want you to save my number also. And we're going to keep in contact. And I'm going to, because I'm from San Fernando. And
okay.
Yeah, this is home. This is reaching home for me. So, and I know some of the daily paid workers. When I looked at the video, there are persons in that video that I know personally.
All right.
I know Mr. Matthews when he was the president. I know Mr. Owen Hines.
Right, the first president.
Yes, I know Mr. Hines. I knew Mr. Hines very, very well. So this I'm taking this personally, so I'm gonna keep in contact with you. I'm gonna for you to keep my listeners and viewers abreast on what is going on. And you put a demand. You said that you would love to get the money before when?
Before the 22nd of December 2025.
Okay. Before the 22nd of December.
Or not before, yes. Or not before.
Yep. So we're going to be watching and listening. The same highlight. And let me tell you this. I'm going to be reaching out to my media colleagues and you see the same way how they had the PSA plastered all over the news. I'm going to make sure and ensure that your interests and your comrades' interests are going to be plastered all over the media. You all have to get the same. You all are not the bastard child. You all have to get the same amount of airtime and coverage like everybody else.
Correct. Equity must be shown.
So look out for calls from other media houses and interviews. And I'm going to talk to some of my friends and get them to get you on their morning show. Because you have to share your view.
Yes.
You have to stand up for your people, and you're from South, I'm from South, so we're fighting together.
I intend to.
All
I
right.
intend to.
So
Because
thank.
because the person who started the labor fraternity in Trinidad, Uriah Buzz Butler, a Grenadian, that is in my blood.
Okay.
Vincentian is in my blood. So I'm the spice of the Caribbean.
Yes.
And I have no intention of stopping until my workers get what they deserve.
Yep. And I'm here with
Only
you.
way they will hold me back, they have to imprison me.
I hope people
Yeah,
hear that.
that's the only way. That's the only way.
All right. So thank you again, and look forward to hearing from you soon.
No problem.
All
And
right.
thank you for having me. Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago.
You are most welcome. All right. So Trinidad and Tobago, you just heard, and the world, you just heard Mr. Big. She is the president for the San Fernando City Corporation workers and union, and yeah, I'm seeing all of your messages, and you're saying that she would have been a part of you know the sit down, or the unions that were part of but you have to give her it. She is standing up for the workers. She could have pretending as though, well, they were going on only we'll wait until whenever they choose to help us. No, she is standing up. She's talking out. All right? She's talking out. And yeah, we have to give her we have to give her the respect, man. I totally are with her on this one, you know. You have to do what you have to do. I want to see what, to be honest with you, viewers, I want to see where this going, eh? This lady look like if she will hit the streets, you know. This lady looks as though she will hit the streets. Yeah. While some of you want to sit down home and be keyboard warriors, she ain't look like if she going to be no keyboard warrior. That lady look as though she is going to hit the streets. All right? So if you want to know exactly what we were talking about this evening, take a listen to this. And then we're going to get into some of the topics for this evening. Yeah, we're going to get into some of the talk this evening. So take a listen to this.
Well, another union is now demanding outstanding payments owed to daily paid workers of the San Fernando City Corporation before December 22nd.
This follows the PSA's agreement with the CPO. President of the Contractors and General Workers Trade Union says they signed off on 2 collective agreements in April that promised a 4% wage increase and improved payments for the 800 corporation workers. Ermine DeBeek-Mead said salary adjustments were supposed to take effect in August and arrears were to be paid before Christmas, but they are still waiting for that to happen. During the budget, the finance minister announced that government will ratify the April 2025 collective agreements for the teaching service, defense force, as well as the Port of Spain and San Fernando City corporations. At the union's San Fernando headquarters, DeBeek-Mead says she has written to Minister Devendranath Tanku that she's now calling on the Prime Minister to urgently intervene.
And we are now calling on her. And the little that I know about her, I believe that she would intervene and she would do what is right. So we need cash. We need it badly. We need it now, on or before the 22nd of December.
But CNC3 News reached out to the finance minister and the chief personnel officer for a response, but got no response up to news time.
So that is what we were talking about, and I just had her live on the phone, and she was explaining to us exactly what was going on. This is an agreement that was signed off on April this year. All right. So to be honest, as I said before, you know, it's not something new. It's not something new in the sense that they're asking for something, and because PSA get this, you know, and honestly, you know, the way how the news put it across, it will give you that sort of impression as well. Hey, here we know now. You know, we because PSA get through, we want to get through too. No, it's not like that. It is really they had their signed agreement long before. Long before. All right. I want to show you. So Miss Felicia, it continues. The drama continues with the PSA president. All right. So last night, the discussion about this 10%, and it's like, as like some people saying, it's bacchanal. You know, it's like bacchanal all over again with Miss Felicia and some people. And I told a friend this morning, I said to him, I said, "Hey, what's going on now? You all," and he's a part of PSA. I said to him, "Brethren, you all need to have a meeting with your president and teacher. You all have to teach this lady how to bargain. She doesn't understand how to bargain properly." I said that to a friend of mine today, who is somebody who is a part of the PSA. I said to him, I said, "Brethren, you all need to teach Miss Felicia how to bargain, because apparently it's not looking good. It is not looking good. It's not sounding good how this discussion is going with your president." Somebody said, the person said to me, she doesn't want that. All right. The person said to me, our president doesn't want that. She believes that because of goodwill, because of how she has been on the campaign trail with the UNC, she has a relationship with them, and she believes that she would be able to lobby. And they know what they agreed on. But after last night, take a look at this. So last night, this was on the news. This was the talking point on most talk shows today. Take a look at this.
Despite signing off on a 10% wage increase for public servants, the Public Services Association and the Chief Personnel Officer are still at odds over the issuance of back pay.
CNC3 News understands some of the back pay will be in cash, but the rest may be in non-cash options. PSA President Felicia Thomas has again accused CPO Dr. Daryl Dindial of standing in the way of their payments. However, Dindial has since fired back.
Here's Radhika De Silva with more.
But you have the money.
It was that answer from the finance minister on the availability of money to pay their back pay that has led to this latest contention between the CPU and the PSA. When the agreement was signed on Tuesday, Thomas explained that a portion of the $3.8 billion in back pay would be paid on or before December 23rd, with more to come sometime in the new year. But while CPO Commander Dr. Daryl Dindial explained that the December 23rd payment would be made in cash, how the rest would be paid is still up for negotiations. That led to Thomas sharing this interview online today, again calling the CPO the chief personnel obstructionist, and asked if he was calling Minister Tanku a liar, as Tanku said in the interview that he had the money for back pay. However, the CPO explained when the minister said he had the money in the interview, he was referring to the part payment of the back pay or the cash advance. In a statement to CNC3 News, the CPO said he would not comment on future negotiations, adding, quote, all discussions so far have been specific to the advance payment. Therefore, he said, he and Tanku are on the same page. The CPO also criticized the PSA president, saying, quote, I cannot be held responsible for anyone's interpretation. We have already seen instances where members of the public reacted with threats of violence against public officials, including myself, end quote. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku confirmed that while the advanced payments will be made in cash, the union may have to entertain non-cash payments for the rest of their back pay. Earlier today, he told CNC3 News that the process for accessing the funds is underway and he will issue clarification when it is complete. He anticipates by early next week he will have more information. Meanwhile, economist Dr. Marlene Att says the country must face the cost of the settlement. She warns that back pay spending could drive inflation and notes the wage deal was not included in the 2026 budget.
The government has already signaled in its estimates of revenue its intention to borrow almost $19 billion on the domestic and on the international market. So we add we don't know if that $19 billion would have included an allocation for this back pay, because we know that this conversation has been an ongoing conversation between the PSA and the now government.
While CNC3 News could not get an exact amount with respect to the cash advance to be paid this month, we understand it may be in the vicinity of $400 to $500 million. Radhika De Silva, CNC.
So, we tried. I told based on that video I just played there, that's why I told my friend that your president need some elder, somebody who understand need to teach her how to negotiate, because she's not looking good. Trust me, she's not looking good. It's not looking good for Miss Felicia at all. It's not looking good, and while it might be a laughing point and some people might say it good, and I understand all of that, you know. But you know what? It's not looking good, you know. It's not looking good. . All right, sorry about that. Miss Thomas needs somebody to teach her. And it is important that Miss Thomas recognize that she needs help. It's not looking good. This is not gonna pan out nice, you know. And some people might be saying to me, well, we don't care. It's good for them. But the reality of it is that it's not panning out nice. All right? It's not panning out nice. And I think that this is going to lead to a point where it reaches a point where people are going to she's going to end up being a laughing stock. She is going to end up being a laughing stock of the Caribbean. And some, again, as I said, you know, for some people it may just be, some of you might be saying it could. But let's think about this. This is a young lady, you know. She's a young woman. This is sad. So we're looking at this, the situation with Miss Felicia. So yesterday, the CPO, clearly the CPO and Miss Felicia is on two different pages. On two different wavelengths. They're on two different, this is just different. And she keeps trying to insult the CPO. Right? She keeps trying to insult the CPO. When the CPO cannot do nothing without the finance minister telling him what to do. That's why we just heard the president. And you know, I should have told Ms. DeBeek that. Because you just heard Ms. DeBeek explain. Ms. DeBeek went at lengths to explain what's going on with her union. Ms. DeBeek explained it. She went into it. And Ms. DeBeek understands it. Clearly, Ms. DeBeek know what she's fighting for. I don't know if Felicia understands it. Like how Ms. DeBeek understands it. So we continue in the discussion. Listen to this.
Despite Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku confirming that part of the PSA's back pay may come through non-cash options, Union President Felicia Thomas remains adamant that public servants will accept cash only.
Meanwhile, former PSA head Watson Duke supports the position but notes that Minister Tanku never promised that the full $3.8 billion would be paid entirely in cash. He has more in the story, including what options were used for non-cash compensation the last time they were offered to unions.
Felicia Thomas remains tenacious, even with the finance minister now confirming that some of the back pay for public servants may have to be non-cash compensation. Thomas maintains that an all-cash payment is the only offer her members will accept.
My response remains the same. I was asked over the table, and I was very clear, lucidly clear, that my mandate for my members is cash, and that remains the same.
Now, Thomas was careful to underscore that her refusal to accept non-cash options isn't aimed personally at the finance minister, but at anyone proposing alternatives to full cash payments during the negotiations. The PSA president said the first time the non-cash option was put on the table was during the recently held negotiations with the CPO. And despite the CPO taking directions from the finance minister, Thomas said she has not made any attempt to speak with Minister Devendranath Tanku.
I haven't, because negotiations are ongoing.
Now, neither the finance minister nor Thomas or even the CPO could explain to CNC3 News what these non-cash options look like. But we went back to 1996, the year unions were last offered non-cash compensations. At the time, it included the cancelling of mortgage and rental payments workers owed to the National Housing Authority, which is now the HDC. Other options were the paying off of student loans and writing off the balance owed for vehicle purchases. Now, there have been some reports that the government may offer bonds as another option. A government bond is basically an IOU. Instead of paying cash right away, the state gives a certificate promising to repay the money later with interest. But former PSA President Watson Duke says while he stands with Thomas and agrees that she should hold out for cash-only payments, he believes that the finance minister was very careful with his words when he said the government had the means to pay the back pay.
He never said if he had the money in cash or if he had the money in bonds and when he will pay the money. That or her interpretation of his statements, or the average man interpretation of his statements, would mean that he has the money to pay right away, but not so.
Duke is also advising Thomas to understand that the CPO is not operating on his own and his decisions are guided by the Minister of Finance.
On the back of that story, today we asked the public, do you agree with the PSA president that all back pay should be paid in cash?
Here's what some of you told us.
No, I do not believe so. I believe a portion should be given in cash, but to be honest, I believe the rest will be given in bonds because it's the amount of money to be paid to the workers, and I do believe the government will have that amount of money to be paid upfront.
Yes, I do. Because the bonds, you have to leave it for a long while before eventually you could get a change. I prefer my cash though. It does be better after tax.
Yes, I agree. Because when I go to the supermarket, I cannot give a piece of paper if it's not cash, if it's not dollar, if it's not financially qualified. I cannot give it.
No. Why? Because they have other things to see about other than, the back pay and thing. So if they give out all the cash, where they going to get cash to fix the other business they have to see about?
If they are able to pay it cash, they should. But if they are not, well then they could pay it in parts. Part now and part next year also. Yeah, cash. Money, yeah. It's money. All cash. Yeah, all cash.
Yes. Why? Because people need the money to do the shopping and buy the groceries and things.
So, you just heard why, people saying what people had to say. Right? So you just heard what people had to say. Interesting, eh? But most of all, you heard this. That's what I'm saying, boy. Somebody need to take this young lady and have a chat with her. Have a little talk with her now. Please, somebody. Somebody have a little talk with Felicia. Please. Because it's not looking good. She is not looking good. It's not sounding good. It's not looking good on her behalf. And I think that before it get bad, before it get worse, I think somebody needs to chat with her. Somebody needs to chat with her. Right? That's my thoughts. Somebody need to chat with Felicia. Because she's not looking good. She's not looking good. Right? She's not looking good. Public servants. How are you feeling? Well, the president. Are you all comfortable? Are you all happy? Are you all comfortable and happy with the bargaining of your union? Huh? That's what I want to know. Are you all comfortable and happy with the bargaining of your union? Or your union bargaining for you? Are you comfortable with that? So I want to take some calls. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good afternoon, Pastor.
Hi, good evening.
Pastor, I hear everything you say about the president.
All right. So we have a call on the line. And now realize that you all wasn't hearing the caller. So we have a call on the line. And they're going to allow him to make his contribution. Go ahead, caller.
Good night again, Pastor. And I was saying earlier on is that the president right now does not know the difference between the campaign trail and the boardroom. She does. She acts. So right now she's still acting like she's on the campaign trail.
Why you think so?
Why I think so? Pastor, we have presidents before and there wasn't going to answer. I was looking at was a he wasn't going like she. The campaign done. Why she acting like she's on the campaign? Everything is a plan. Everything is a more or less a hostile environment. Why you are against all the time? The campaign done, and she's acting like this government or this the government. She acting like that, like they owe she something or the promise something or there's protocols to follow. She's acting like if you know because if she things will happen or the promise something. I don't know. Tanko is the CPO boss. So if you guys are going to the CPO taking orders from the finance minister. Apparently she don't understand that. And like I said, I am saying again, the young lady does not know the difference between the campaign trail and the boardroom. She's I'm sorry to say that I heard looking and I'm person like when she looked like she was a disaster in the boardroom. Because apparently she knows understanding what she's saying, really fine, only rushing out here and talking. The second time she was here and talk, and it's something else really the same. Behind she back. So we are signing. What are we doing? How are you negotiating?
All right, thank you very much.
I will make space, everyone.
Yeah, man. Hello, good evening, caller.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, caller. How are you?
I'm cool. Sorry, we didn't worry too much about Mr. Thomas, you know.
Why?
Well, the Minister of Labour is a chief advisor. He was a predecessor in the PSC. I'm quite sure.
Yeah,
I'm quite sure. I'm quite sure.
That the same problem with him.
I'm quite sure he's advisor. Yeah, that's the same problem, but I'm quite sure he's advisor. And hear what I'm saying. She ran and she was elected by the people. So the people had confidence in her. So they bypassed people like Nick Challenger, who incidentally was on TV6 News this morning saying something. And also we interviewed earlier Mr. What's his name? Mr. Sondage. The employees bypassed them and who had experience and choose us them. So what is happening to her? I have no problem with what is happening to her. You understand? She was very loquacious and boisterous from Labor Day in Faizabad all the way up to the Labor Day election where she was the wicked PNM government. And remember I told you something. I told you that I expected they would come with bonds because promise made, promise kept. Right? And I kept telling people that promise kept is when money in your bank. And the UNC has done that already. I was a recipient of bonds in the earlier iteration. Right? And when those bonds covered the reinstated COLA and 10% from that era that was cut in 1987. Right? I could tell you, you lose when you go and cash in your bonds. And I needed the cash and I had no choice but to go and cash my bonds. And I lost 25% on my bonds at the firm of a former independent senator. I know who you know I'm speaking about. Right? And by his firm. Many of us went to that place because the bonds were 2 years and we did not want to take the chance and what the inflation at that time would be. It was better to cash it in and spend 5% and enjoy the cash in your hand. That is how bonds work. Yes? And the other thing about the treatment meted out to the contractor and general workers union, and actually they didn't ask the big that. Isn't the reason for the ratification of the agreement?
You're moving around. Just now, caller, you hear me?
Yeah.
You're moving around a little too much, so you're breaking up. By the way, you said that you're surprised that I didn't ask Mr. Beak a question. What was that?
The question, I'm surprised they didn't ask him. And the reason why there was no ratification of the agreement was because they signed 4 days before the election, and because she dealt with former prime ministers, and if they're being punished for it. Because they remember there are also other units
all right, I don't know what's happening. You're getting a lot of noise. You're not coming through clearly. But I think you said to me, you're asking me if because they would have, she would have spoken to former Minister Young, if that is the reason why they are being victimized. No. Remember, based on what Mr. Beak is saying, is that even if that is how they're thinking, it doesn't make any sense, because in the parliament for the budget, the minister would have said, he would have pointed out, especially to the San Fernando City Corporation, daily paid.
He would have identified the people who settled before.
Right, yeah, but he identified them. There are a lot of persons who would have settled, but the people who he made sure and identify was the San Fernando City Corporation daily paid workers.
Yes, and because they would have been settling for the same period, 2014 to 2019, as the PSA, right? But also you recall that Tutor, and they said that's why Mr. Lumpkin lost the Tutor election. Tutor and Tutor and they were negotiated for 20 to 22, right? That's Tutor, Amalgamated Workers Union, who represent the Port Spring City Corporation, the Defense Force, right? They were the unions who have signed off on 20 to 22, right? On about 5%, right? But I am saying that you're saying that it don't make any sense. Nothing makes sense with this government, Pastor. We're seeing it. Nothing makes sense with them. That's what I'm saying.
But also, just while I understand what you're saying and all of that, but listen to this. You know, she would have made mention of the NIS workers.
Yes.
The
NIB board. Now remember, the PSA negotiated with the NIB board, right? And they would have signed off on the figure for them in that same period, and they got their increase.
Right.
And the workers there is about the same amount as the corporation workers. I think it's about for 600 workers in the NIB.
But they did not. But they signed off under which government?
They signed off also under PNM.
Right. So and they got their money. So that's not logical. Okay. So you're saying that you want to victimize the San Fernando Corporation workers because the president would have negotiated it with Stuart Young, right? But the same thing would have done.
Not negotiated. She would have gone and speak to him and say, "Listen, we sign off, and would you give the CPO instructions to ratify the agreement?" And that was done.
Right. But listen to this though. And while she was on the line, if you were reading some of the comments on the chat on YouTube,
I saw it.
A lot of the persons said that she was sitting next to Ms. Bisessa during the UNT, during the campaign.
She was on the platform. Right, she was on the platform, just like Ms. Thomas and so on.
I don't know if she was on the platform, but I know that she would have been at the around the table meeting.
Right.
So she was on the, I don't think she was on the platform like Miss Felicia, but she was at a round table meeting with the Prime Minister, with back then opposition leader.
Opposition leader, right.
And she would have lobbied just as how Felicia lobbied. She would have lobbied with back then opposition leader to make sure or to ensure that her workers would have gotten their just due. She just simply saying, yeah, what? While earlier celebrating the fact that PSA got through, don't forget us now, because you all would have.
Yeah, and she is quite correct in that. But could I give you another angle?
Go ahead.
The Porcelain City Corporation. Who controls the corporation?
The PNM.
And which ministry is responsible for releasing funds to pay these people a salary?
The Bureau Development, Ms. Khadija Amin.
Okay, sir. All right. You understand the assignment? Don't rule that out either. Do not rule that out either.
Okay.
Especially as one of the corporations where the subvention from the government would have been cut, right?
Yeah, but you remember this is San Fernando, eh?
Yeah, no, but San Fernando was also cut too. San Fernando subvention was also cut too, Pastor.
Yeah, so let's see how this will pan out. But I understand.
And the final thing that you asked, when you talk about this, you know what she said, right? She said if ready for the SOE, she would have been out there. They would have been out there. So everybody is mindful of what the SOE means.
I'll tell you this. I have a funny feeling based on my interaction with Ms. DeBeek. Let me tell you something. That lady is willing to go to jail for her comrades. And let me tell you, she is, for me personally, I'm watching her, I'm listening to her, and she is, and you see she draw reference to
Mr. Butler, the chief servant. Chief servant.
So I just really putting people on notice. You see, that lady, she will be and you hear what she said, she's the first female
president of the Contractor and General Workers Union, yes?
Right.
Yes.
So she is willing to make history, eh?
But what this also, right? What this also? The fact that the corporation handles a lot of work around the carnival period and so on, right? And also the fact that they know that the SU coming to end at a particular time. And look at, if they go and arrest them, why they didn't arrest Ansel Roger and company with the meeting that they had talking outside Garkar refinery? Why the commission was granted for that?
Because Mr. Ansel Roger and when you go back and you watch the video and you listen to what they were talking about,
I heard him.
So they wouldn't arrest them. They wouldn't arrest them for that.
I asked that question rhetorically because I want you and I to be able to see how there's different strokes for different folks.
But let's be honest though, that was not protest.
It was a gathering.
That was a gathering. Yeah, but it's just
even under the SOE, gatherings like that is troublesome.
Okay. Well, I don't
and
know
that also follows when Parliament was open and they had Minister Amin and Minister Alexander Green and D. Drummer. They were the people who came to support them in Woodfront Square. You recall that?
Yeah.
So I was saying, you're seeing there's a difference with people who support the government. They could go out and gather and so on. But if you're against the government, it's problem. Or you're saying things perceived to be anti-government, it's problems. Take note, people. Thank you for the opportunity, Pastor.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for calling. All right. So if you don't know the number to call and you want to get through, the number to call is 464-7003. 464-7003. That is the number you can call to get through. 464-7003. 464-7003. That is the number you can call and share your view. Let me know what is your thoughts. What is your thoughts about what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago? What is your thoughts? All right, the time now in Trinidad and Tobago is 4 minutes past 10. 4 minutes past 10 in a rainy Wednesday evening. You know? So if you're inside, stay inside. If you're going outside, well, you know what? Make sure and walk with your umbrella. Okay. So we're taking your calls. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Pastor Google.
Good evening, sir.
You know, I must add my 2 cents for this thing here. To me, what is it, Mr. Beak, her name is?
Yes, Mr. Beak.
Right. I remember she was so right in what she said about when you sign off, you know what I mean, they have a right to pay it then, because you remember, you supposed to have a clip there, Dr. Rowley said, when he came into power, he met negotiations already in place, and he paid it, because he couldn't really do anything, you know, and they say all kind of thing with Dr. Rowley, how he saw this and how he saw that, but them doing worse than him, you know what I mean? And yeah, and with Miss Felicia, well, I expected what happened to happen to her. If you really watch when she came out of those meetings and watch the expression on her face, you could see she wasn't pleased about what they were discussing, you know? And then she said that, oh, the CPO was saying that he wanted to discuss the state of the economy, right? And you could see that is like probably he was going to tell her that to say, well, look, you can't get all that money now, you know. But she was grandstanding in the public and saying, well, you know what, I don't want to hear that, you know, I come in to discuss money, you know, but she knew. And when she came out of that meeting, if you play it back and you watch the expression on her face, she wasn't pleased when she came out of that meeting at all, you know. So, you know, that was my 2 cents in the whole thing, right?
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad that people are very observant. People are observant. So, I want to play this clip. I need to play this clip. Take a listen to this clip.
Let me say here tonight to public servants, wherever you may be, if your president succeeds in removing the PNM from office, many thousands of you will follow that by removing yourself out of your jobs. And let me tell you why. The government of Trinidad and Tobago led most of the years by caring PNM governments, have taken on the responsibility of ensuring a quality of life for people in this country that is now at the level of almost impossible to fund beyond where we are. In a $60 billion budget, the largest expenditure in that budget is on the monthly payment to public servants wherever they might be. Every month, on average, not just public servants on the Gazette, you know, the government supports the payroll of some state enterprises. If WASA doesn't get a $200 billion from the Minister of Finance virtually every month, WASA workers cannot be paid consistently in the way that they have been, you know. But as Prime Minister, I could tell you, the hardest job of the government and of the Prime Minister is to ensure that there are revenues coming in on one side to ensure that expenditure can be supported on the other side. And nobody could give you any other equation. The singular equation that you should be concerned about in this country now is what is our revenue situation and what is our expenditure situation. If you listen to the PSA leader and the UNC and their campaign in 2025, all they are concerned about is improving and expanding the expenditure side of the equation. And to do that, to make it, honey, quoted for you, they tell you things like they will increase public servants' pay by 10%. Ladies and gentlemen, from this platform tonight, I could tell you, once a government comes in and gets on that pathway of making that kind of increase to public servants, the highway has to be labeled two ways. One, you are going to end up at the IMF, the International Monetary Fund station, and you're going to get there by the road called devaluation. And let me tell all of you something tonight. If God forbid, and there's a government in office that finds itself without revenues to meet the monthly expenditure to public servants, the one thing that government will not do is to write checks to you and then the checks bounce in the bank. Governments don't operate so. Before you get to that point where the checks will bounce in the bank, you cut the liability of requiring to write the checks. You know what that means? When the government finds itself in a position not being able to pay the payroll, ask Barbados what happened. It's tens of thousands of public servants that come off the payroll. Governments don't have you on the payroll working and can't pay you. They take you off the payroll. In this country, anybody who is telling you that they will incur expenditure that we all know the revenues cannot support, they are telling you in code that they intend to cut the public service. And let me tell you what my source of information tells me when I try to understand what the UNC is about. You know what the UNC is saying quietly and secretly? If they ever get to that situation where they come into office and they can't pay the bills that they're committed to, and they cut the public service, is mainly PNM supporters that will be affected, because the bulk of the public service is East-West Corridor people supporting the PNM.
So that was Dr. Rowley. That was Dr. Rowley. And a lot of people saying now, so people waiting to see if what he would have said there come to pass. A lot of people waiting to see if what he said there is the truth and if it will come to pass. Interesting, eh? Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So I'm continuing to take your calls. All right, let's take this call. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Hi, good evening.
Pastor Google.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good
evening. Good night. What's now? That clip you just play? Boy, I always like stick breaking people as Pastor Google. Gosh, Pastor Google. That man who we missing for what he did and what he told us, you know? I want people to understand. Play that clip again, Pastor Go. Anyway, Miss Ermin the Beak, what you're saying about her is as positive as it could be, because she's a firm and positive woman. I knew her on the coffee, we worked together.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That lady, man, I'm telling you, she stands firm with her workers. Although she made a mistake by sitting around the wrong table. Have a good night.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. No, I fully believe that. I firmly believe that Miss the Big is going out there. She is going to protest. She going and protest. She is not. There's some people who believe, well, she was a part of the wrong table, whatever. You don't want to hear her. Trust me, you will hear her, you know. They're going to hear her. She'll be the first female trade union leader to be locked up, because she's going out there to protest for her people. She's going out there to protest for her people. I can see her doing it. Trust me, I can see her doing it. I'm going to continue to take your calls, but I want to play this, and I'm going to continue to play this for a specific reason. I'm going to continue to play this for a specific reason. I will tell you the reason after, but take a listen to this.
Housing Development Corporation will end its contracts with at least 15 maintenance providers and their employees by year's end. And its chairman has signalled the possibility of further staff reductions at the corporation as Feroz Khan looks to reverse what he says is a decade of severe financial mismanagement.
In an exclusive interview with CNC3 News, Chairman Feroz Khan sought to paint a picture of the corporation's current financial predicaments, which he said has now led him to take certain corrective actions.
The chairman of the Housing Development Corporation says the entity is in a bad place financially. On top of losing $700 million in fiscal 2025, Chairman Feroz Khan said there's a $40 million overhead bill he's struggling to pay. Of course, a significant part of that overhead is salary and wages, which he said is around $15 or $16 million a month. Now, Khan said he has to pay his staff, but he prefers to have a smaller organization to be able to meet those payments. The AGC chairman said the financial hole was not dug overnight, but rather over the last 10 years under the former PNM administration. But how did the corporation reach this financial state? Well, Khan said homes were being constructed for $1.6 million and sold for only $600,000. He also said maintenance providers were charging exorbitant sums for work like cutting grass, sometimes 6 times the market value. And he even showed us this document where a sewer treatment plant for Abonia West development ballooned from around $3 million to $34 million. Now, he's made it clear that the 50 maintenance contractors will not have their contracts renewed, as he claims the official tendering process was not followed. Severing ties with them and their associated employees will be done before the end of this year, and he expects to save around $10 million a month with that move. Instead, he said some of the 400 daily paid workers on his pay sheet can do that job instead. Now, apart from the 400 daily paid workers, there are 365 monthly paid employees comprising of about 300 on contracts. Of those 300, already 26 have seen their contracts not renewed. When CNC3 News asked Khan if he will be looking at downsizing further, he said it's not his preferred option, but it's also not outside the realm of possibility. The chairman said it's a tough business decision, but going forward, when the contract for an employee comes to an end, it will not be renewed as easily as they were before. He said a 2-year contract is a 2-year contract, and there's no obligation for the HDC to extend it further. Now, the PSA is the union for these workers. President Felicia Thomas could not be reached for comment, but earlier this week she said the union was shocked by the decision not to renew the contracts of the 26 workers and added that the union will demand their reinstatement.
Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr.
So you heard. So he's not renewing the contracts for the people who cut the grass in HDC developments. He's not renewing the contracts for those persons. He's not renewing the contracts for people who just pick up rubbish. He's not renewing the contracts. You know what I just want to ask the chairman to do? Pay the people now. Before you sever contracts with them, could you pay them? Could you pay them off? The money that you owe them for months, could you pay them off? Chairman, you're owing some people some money. Your LSA, you're owing people money. Could you pay them off? Chairman, I ask you, pay off the contractors before you sever contracts. And you know what is appalling and what is sad and what is so disingenuous about that chairman? He said that they didn't go through the proper procurement process to get their contracts. You know, I think that these contractors should sue you for defamation. Sue you for putting false information out there about them. But there's another talk for another day. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Pastor Google.
Hey, is it true that the refinery flame is back up and running?
I don't know. I have not been outside in this weather.
Okay.
I will see perhaps tomorrow or something.
Okay, somebody just sent me a video here, allegedly that the flames in the refinery is burning.
I don't know. I don't think so, because I spoke to a former colleague today, and he did not mention that. Right, and I don't think so.
Okay, so
yeah. Good night again, Pastor Google. Let me connect some dots if you would allow me to. Right, and Nixon calendar, I believe this morning on TV6 said it very, very correct. He says anytime you take the collective bargaining process and take it from the table of the CPO and carry it into the political boardrooms of a political party, you're doomed. And this is what has happened with this young lady called Felicia Thomas. Because if you listen to her words, when the CPO first spoke to her about having first thing that he had to, when he got the mandate from the finance minister, right? They had to firstly look at what is going on with the economy. What did she see? I don't see that since 2022. I could go on Google that and look at that. I don't have to see that. All I want in my hand is the document saying that we're getting 10%. That is what she was concerned about. She wasn't concerned with anything else. She wasn't concerned about no sort of fine print. She wasn't about concern and that they will get the money before Christmas or by Christmas. That was her concern. Even if you recall, when MP Brian Manning was on your program, and he indicated on more than one occasion that that is not possible because he has been through it before, and that the amount of work that had to be done, even though there would have been a 4% back in the day, wasn't it simply adding 6%? As Felicia Thomas was saying, you just had to add 6, and I said no. A lot of calculations had to take place of these over 80,000 public officers. And when you're in the collective bargaining process, that don't take a couple of days. That don't happen overnight. That takes weeks and months and sometimes over a year, Pastor. I've been there before. Those things don't just happen just so. So when she came out and she boy, well, we gave me 10%. Right? We said sign off next week Monday. Right? As one of your callers indicated, what did she say? Promises made, promises kept. In other words, that was a promise made not in the collective bargaining, during the collective bargaining process. That was a promise made to them by a political entity. And that was the first mistake. The second mistake was promising them that they will get money by Christmas. Second mistake. Because when a party gets into governance, and they now begin to see the real figures. You see, when you're out there, you could talk, I will promise you the world, Pastor. I can promise you the world. I can promise you a job. I can promise you money. But when I get in there and I see the real figures, you understand? And the CPO takes instructions, and Felicia knows that, Felicia Thomas knows that the CPO, but you see, she can't do anything about it because of her present position compared to where she was before. She get promoted. She's the one thing on a board. Things going good with her, so she can't go and buy the hand that made the promises to her. So somebody had to take the bounce, and the only person that she can take the bounce is the CPO. But she knows that the CPO takes instructions. All of us know that. From who? The finance minister, corporation soul. But she had to take herself out of it, not to look bad, because as Patrick Manning said, she should resign now. She should resign. Because the CPO indicated, and it was read out by Tony Lee this morning from Newsday, that he never promised us $3.8 billion before Christmas. And it's very unlikely that the balance of the money, however it is paid, will be paid in the next fiscal. That means I might get in 2027. She ain't like to hear that because they're not making her look good. She don't want to hear that because you know why? Because she doesn't, as you said earlier, she doesn't have the experience. And the people who are edging her on and telling you don't worry yourself, dear, we have your back. She can't turn to them right now. So she looking bad. She looking like she have egg on her face. You understand? Because all they have promised to give her in cash before Christmas is less than 14% of the 3.8 billion for the over 80,000 public officers, and that doesn't include those that they have not negotiated with us yet. There are others as well, other state enterprises that are still to come to the table. You understand? Just like Lake Asphalt and others. Because they are now seeing the figures presented them in front of them. Remember in 2010, when the UNC got in, the partnership got into office, the late great Patrick Manning left in the treasury over $6 billion. They had money to work with. This time, it didn't have that. So when they go in there now, and they're telling all of the heads of state boards, hey, all your contractors, as soon as the contract is completed, cut them off, that's it. And that is what is happening right now to cut costs. Dr. Rowley spoke about it. The UNC is going to cut every time the contracts are all finished, they're going to cut costs. Just Samco on the news tonight is making its workers work one day in, one day out, so everybody will get a bite of the cherry. How many houses so be the 8th month? Have you heard of any houses being built and completed, Pastor Google, by the HDC as yet? They say they're supposed to build 500 a week. Then they changed it to 20,000 a year. Now it's 612 a year. In the 8th month of their existence, how many houses have been built so far, Pastor Google?
But do you know that they made a promise that they're going to give out a certain amount of houses before Christmas?
That have already been built by whom?
No. Yeah, but I don't think you understand what I'm going to say to you. Do you know that they said that they're going to give out a certain amount of houses before Christmas?
I have not heard that.
Oh, okay.
You heard that?
I'll play it for you all just now.
All right, fine. But the whole point of the matter, Pastor, they are cutting costs. Look, some people were not paid. Just recently in the news, you heard about the MTS workers that have not been paid for months.
Yeah, but there are what they call them, those people and the traffic wardens their contracts haven't been renewed.
Right. And this is what is going on. So they are cutting costs, and Dr. Rowley alluded to this. They have to cut costs, especially people who are under contractual arrangements, OJTs and all of these other people who they could afford to do that to, not the permanent workers, not the permanent public officers. They run into issues with that. But once you have under contractual arrangements where they can eliminate and cut you from the payroll, that is what they are doing. What about the $1 billion that they have taken out from the HSF and from the foreign reserves? Have you heard anything about that yet, Pastor Google?
No, that is the money that they're going to use to pay public servants.
Well, all right. Well, you see, there you go.
That's the money they're going to use.
And they're only paying $500 million. But what you see, but they have a bigger problem, as Dr. Rowley alluded to. They have the monthly recurrent expenditure. And that is going to begin to go up from January next year.
Well, what will happen is that they just would public servants they would quarrel, but they just would not see the increase in their salary. But they will quarrel. They will make a bacchanal. They will say what they will come out and say, well, hey, we ain't get our money, you know. But the reality of it is that they're not going to get it. And then they will say, well, hey, what they want is all they want to go home, or they want to keep all their
They make the
jobs.
sacrifice and work.
Yeah. That's what it come down to. But I'm telling you that it's going to come down to people in January month end when they realize that they don't see the money. And it may not be January month end, it might be April, May, January, February, March. Let them enjoy Carnival and then hit them the shaft. That is exactly what they will do. They would not interfere with them now. They'll interfere with them after Carnival. Might just be after Easter. Well, I don't think they have enough money to run them through till Easter.
So let me ask you a question. What about all those negotiations yet to take place?
No, they're not going to have any. They're not going to do any negotiations right now.
So those people will still remain on 2013 salary.
Yeah, they'll have to do that. They will have to do that based on. But let me just say that because I don't get put in my place in a barber shop where they tell me I'm not an accountant, I'm not an economist, I am not Dave Tanku, I'm talking things over my pay grade. So hush them out.
You think you have to be a mathematician to understand what is happening with the economy of Trinidad.
That's what people have reached to in order to convince themselves that, hey, here we're going on now. It can't. No, I don't want to believe that what you're saying is real.
Oh, I see. So they just wanted. So when it begins to happen, them still don't say nothing. I understand clearly what you're saying, Pastor. Have a good evening, Pastor. Pastor, by the way, whenever your friend from Superior calls, ask him if any of his friends that received any notification about the 20,000 jobs that they had applied for.
He would call in. I believe he would call in just now to answer you directly.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Have a good evening.
Same to you, sir. So let's go. I want to show you all. I saw where Watson Duke sent out a statement about why he's so quiet. But take a listen to this. I want you all to listen to this.
I don't know if I can even ask for an assessment, but how far you feel that the government is along?
We're very far along. The Prime Minister sent a message to all of us. Find jobs. Look at in your ministries where there are vacancies. You would see ministries publishing daily education, healthcare, housing. We've been putting out job vacancies for people to try and absorb as many as possible. But I want to ask a question. Why do we have so many people unemployed on make-work schemes in Trinidad and Tobago, and we have 150,000 Venezuelans living here?
What a contradiction. He contradicts everything that the chairman of HGC said. Everything. But there's a video I really want to show you guys. Because Brian asked me, or Brian said he never heard where they said how much houses they're going to give out by Christmas. I hope this is it. Which I can see if this is it. Right? The minister here, yeah, I think this is it. So take a listen to this. Take a listen to this, Brian. And take note of it, Brian. Alright? Take note of this, Brian. Take note of this.
Save for that one. And we will start all the new projects. I was told yesterday by Minister Lee what the target is by Christmas. I tell him, well, if we hit that target, we're going to put a picture of you with a Santa Claus hat. Because there's some big numbers of houses that both he and the Prime Minister have agreed that's the target that we want to hit in our first year, and it's doable.
You're willing to tell us about the target? Why are you so cagey this morning, Mr.
It's
Minister?
not about being cagey.
This is not like Philip Edward Alexander.
No, it's not that. As you see, what is my information to give? You can hit all. But I think that we will be giving away in excess of 600 houses.
By Christmas?
By Christmas.
All right.
So that's more than 10% of the whole delivery of the last administration in 10 years.
Yeah.
And that will be a massive, and to start with those kind of numbers, but it requires finishing a lot of work that are in various stages of completion. But the public, we have so many people save for that one, and we will start all the new projects. I was told yesterday by Minister Lee what the target is by Christmas. I tell him, well, if we hit that target, we're going to put a picture of you with a Santa Claus hat, because there's some big numbers of houses that both he and the Prime Minister have agreed that's the target that we want to hit in our first year, and it's doable.
You're willing to tell us about the target? Why are you so cagey this morning, Mr.
It's
Minister?
not about being cagey.
This is not like Philip Edward Alexander.
No, it's not that. As you see, what is my information to give? You can hit all. But I think that we will be giving away in excess of 600 houses.
By Christmas?
By Christmas.
All right.
So that's more than 10% of the whole delivery of the last administration in 10 years.
Yeah.
And that will be a massive, and to start with those kind of numbers. But it requires finishing a lot of work that are in various stages of completion. But the public, we have so many people desperate to get shelter.
Is it doable? Do you believe? I want you to put in the live, yes or no. You believe that they're going to do it? 600 houses for Christmas. Yes or no? Do you believe that it is doable? Do you believe that this government is going to give out 600 houses by Christmas? Yes or no? Just type it in. Yes or no? Do you believe that the minister? Do you believe this minister? Do you all believe it? How much more weeks again before Christmas? Oh, let me be real now. How much weeks again before Christmas? Let's check and see. Let's check and see. Let's see. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's look at it. Today's the 4th. Today's Thursday, the 4th of December. 1, 2. Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah, let's say 2 weeks. 2 weeks and 1, 2, 3. Well, 2 days. 2 weeks and 2 days. Do y'all? Somebody said 3 weeks. All right, so you all saying 3 weeks. Okay, 1, 2. Why you all saying 3 weeks though? You all checking the Christmas week? You all checking the Christmas week, or you all? So Christmas in July, 2026. 2026. Somebody said no. So they talk that, or they believe that they could do that. Do you all believe that they can give out 600 homes by Christmas next two weeks? Do you all believe that? Only listen to the minister. 21 days. Somebody said they have 21 days. Do you all believe that the minister that they're going to give out these houses in before Christmas? Listen it again. Listen it again. Listen him again.
Save for that one, and we will start all the new projects. I was told yesterday by Minister Lee what the target is by Christmas. I tell him, well, if we hit that target, we're going to put a picture of you with a Santa Claus hat, because there's some big numbers of houses that both he and the Prime Minister have agreed that's the target that we want to hit in our first year, and it's doable.
You're willing to tell us about the target? Why are you so cagey this morning, Mr.
It's
Minister?
not about being cagey.
This is not like Philip Edward Alexander.
No, it's not that. As you see, what is my information to give? You can hit all. But I think that we will be giving away in excess of 600 houses.
By Christmas?
By Christmas.
All right.
So that's more than 10% of the whole delivery of the last administration in 10 years.
Yeah.
And that will be a massive, and to start with those kind of numbers. But it requires finishing a lot of work that are in various stages of completion. But the public, we have so many people desperate to get shelter.
Talk to me. Do you all believe that they could give it out? 600. Call me on 464-7003. 464-7003. Because Brian said he didn't hear that. He didn't hear any minister make that statement. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. No, lie.
Sing it now. Sing it in a parang. Let me hear you.
You know that man talking normal all the time, and then when he talk about 600 houses, he got 600 houses. You realize how he thought that? How he put that forward?
The man.
He spoke to the Prime Minister and I spoke to the... How much houses? 600 houses. You know how he said that? Well, them fellas could lie. Looky lie. They don't lie. Looky lie. Right.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's take our next call. Hello, good evening. All right. Hello, good evening, caller. Hello, good evening, caller.
Good evening, Pastor. Good night, Pastor Google. Pastor Google, I listened to the conversation with that chap there. Tell me something. The government plan to build houses, or they're just trying to complete?
But he said
the houses.
You were not listening. He did say that they have to complete the houses.
Oh, all right. And they have about 3 weeks to complete it. I very much doubt that, Pastor Google.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Yeah. Oh, I see it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Unless you could get some real workers or like, yeah, they are bringing real workers. All right, Pastor Google.
All right, man. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good afternoon, Pastor.
Good evening,
Pastor,
sir.
I don't believe I would answer it. I don't believe I would.
You don't believe a word he's saying? All right. Let me just play it one more time because I don't know. The caller called and he said that he wasn't sure if they were going to build the houses or finish the houses that has already been started. So let me play it again so that you will hear what the minister said.
Save for that one, and we will start all the new projects. I was told yesterday by Minister Lee what the target is by Christmas. I tell him, well, if we hit that target, we're going to put a picture of you with a Santa Claus hat, because there's some big numbers of houses that both he and the Prime Minister have agreed that's the target that we want to hit in our first year, and it's doable.
You're willing to tell us about the target? Why are you so cagey this morning, Mr.
It's not
Minister?
about being cagey.
This is not like Philip Edward Alexander.
No, it's not that. As you see, what is my information I give? You can hit all. But I think that we will be giving away in excess of 600 houses.
By Christmas?
By Christmas.
All right.
So that's more than 10% of the whole delivery of the last administration in 10 years.
Yeah.
And that will be a massive, and to start with those kind of numbers. But it requires finishing a lot of work that are in various stages of completion. But the public, we have so many people desperate to get shelter.
So you heard what the minister said. It's about finishing the work that is already, on chain. So, yeah. So that's why my question to you this evening was, do you believe that they're going to finish? They're going to give out the 600 by Christmas. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
Pastor Google.
Hi.
Yeah, I believe they would give out the houses, just like the 20,000 jobs that they gave, But what I want to really find out, is Felicia, the disagreement that Felicia did. That draft, did it include retirees?
I think so.
Back there?
I think so. I can find out for you.
No, I think there is a draft where they said that retirees would not be getting in the back pay. And I would like somebody to really give me that information.
All right. So what I'll do, I'll find out.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the lady wants to know if the retirees are going to be a part of that back pay. Somebody said not so far. Not. No. Okay. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, Pastor. The house problem is that if they have to give out that amount of houses, that is that now it's about 43 houses per day. I ain't seeing that. And you're selling the workers them who's supposed to be seen about finishing up these houses them with all the fine tuning and all that thing and cleaning and things. If you're selling them, how you going to give out the houses? You see, I just always say like some them politicians here right now think that we really fool away. That's what them fellas them going on. They think we fool. Everything that see that them alone could say what they want, they could talk what they want, they could tell people what they want, and you have to believe what them say. I go on, partner.
All right, partner. All right, partner. All right, I'll continue to take your calls. 464-7003. 464-7003. Do you believe that this government could give out 600 houses by Christmas? Do you think that this government could give out 600 houses by Christmas? Do you think so? Yes or no? Because Brian would have called in and he wasn't aware that they made that promise. How many of you wasn't aware of that promise was made? That promise was made to you, Trinidad and Tobago. So you need to hold your government responsible. You need to hold them responsible. Cool? You need to hold them responsible. You need to tell them, hey, you all told me that you all are going to give me or give out 600 houses. Please, could you deliver on your promise? What do you think? But let me play this Watson Juke video for you guys. And take your calls. Hello, good evening.
Master Google, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Master Google, according to the gentleman just now, I recall just before leaving office, the PNM government has divided the HDC into 3 sections. One, construction, maintenance, and I think distribution. And with the recent non-renewal of contracts just recently, I want to believe that it was the people in the construction section that was laid off. So how and who are going to complete these houses? When, if you drive around the country, you're seeing where housing projects have been stopped. I would like to find out that from these people. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you very much.
Have been stopped.
All right. So we play this video. Mr. Watson Duke would have made a statement. People find him to be quiet, silent. What's going on, Watson Duke? Take a listen to Mr. Watson Duke.
On Monday, all media houses are invited to the PDP headquarters at the Port Mall, Scarborough, Tobago. Yes, Monday, the 8th of December, 11 a.m. sharp. You have been asking me for a long time to say something, comment, give a view. On Monday, I will comment, I will give a view. You come and hear for yourself and ask all the questions you have been yearning to ask. To the hardcore PDP members, the well-wishers, if you wish to have a conversation with me, I'm available on Monday, the 8th of December from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., hour and a half. So we can have a discussion in dialogue as the case may be. But know for sure, Tobago's revolution is on course and will continue to lead the struggle at the forefront and not from behind.
So people are wondering, where is Mr. Watson Duke? So you just heard him. Monday. Right? Monday, Watson Duke is going to be speaking. All right? So what you think? What are your thoughts? Somebody said, Pastor, this is one of the houses to be delivered. Okay, let's see. Let me see if I can show the people. Let me see if I can show the people one of the houses that have to be delivered. All right. Are you sure? All right, let's take this call. Hello. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Yes, Pastor. Good night. As I calling again concerning the 600 houses, you know? I want to know what's wrong with these promises that come for the fool government, you know? Why they try to keep fooling the people, you know? And telling the people lies right through and like wanting us to accept it. And when we speak out now, they're trying to stymie us, muzzle us from speaking out to the truth. You know, we have to understand as a people, we have to deal with facts and, come together in some manner in order to strive off authoritarianism. You understand? Because as far as I see, is that what it's leading up to. And as long as we sit down and see one thing take place and leave that and another thing, we'll have a big sore that we can't cure. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the caller is saying that the government is playing games and lying to the people. The government is saying to you that they're going to give out 600 houses and before Christmas. And I'm asking you if you think that that is possible. I just want to remind you that we're doing our hamper drive for Christmas. We're asking you to assist us in our hamper drive for Christmas. You can send a WhatsApp number to 464-7003. 464-7003. We are buying stuff in bulk and giving it out. So we're asking you to please make your contributions. You can make your donations and you can send a WhatsApp message to find out how you can make your contributions. Hello, good evening.
Pleasant good night, Pastor.
A gentleman would have called you out to ask you a question. Are you willing to answer him?
Yeah, no problem. Just share the question. I feel I know what you're speaking about.
So you did not hear the question he asked?
About the recruitment drive?
Yes, sir.
Well, positions, interviews are being taken place currently right now.
Also, interviews are taking place.
Right.
So
people are
got,
being called in.
So people getting called in for interviews.
People are being called in for interviews.
Okay.
I don't know about any set date for the interview, but they're being called in for interviews, which is a very strange way of putting it across, right? But that is for like administration. But when we're talking about like labor intensive, nothing like that has been issue. Nobody has been given calls for anything, which would be expected because, I mean, we in December, we're not in a new year. No projects really kicking off the ground, as you could see, because if somebody said they were going to build 600 houses for Christmas, and
no, he didn't say he was going
that,
to build. No, he didn't say that he was going to build.
Sorry, not build, deliver, right? Deliver, correct. But I just saying, there's no construction really taking place, any government construction, to say that it needs to immediately have a drive of intense employment currently. Anyway, Pastor, I just want to talk about something that is happening tomorrow, and I think it's going to affect a future generation like myself. Right? I've seen and I'm reading about the finance bill is going to be debated tomorrow in the Parliament. And from judging from what the Mr. Cullen was saying, they're going to come tomorrow with a set of, then they're going to come to Parliament and try to railway themselves with a set of amendments, right? And it's so sneaky that one of them is that everybody's talking about it, right, on social media. They're going to raise the borrowing ceiling from 50 million to 45 billion. Now, you would recall that you played a video during the election with the same Miss Ants, who you're referring to over in your program. And she was talking about the same thing, that if you're borrowing money, right, it means a decline of revenue, which we all expect. As everybody knows that is happening right now with this current administration. But if you're going to repay what you borrow is not in TT, it's going to be in foreign currency, right? So I suspect that the moves they're making within the central bank, right, within the they're going to reform the BIR. All that is going to be repeated tomorrow. I believe all of this has to be colliding with what they're going to do. As a young person, I just asking a few questions, right? What is the need to really amend the borrowing law, the borrowing, and why so exorbitant? What will be the value to this borrowing, right? With the current GDP of our country, how would this borrowing, right, and what is the consequences going to affect the future generations after you borrow this? Furthermore, Pastor, I just want to close off now. Tomorrow you're going to bring in new taxes, right? One which we were discussing today on work, about the registration process for vehicles. Currently, a lot of people have rent-to-own vehicles. Now, if you don't register, if you don't transfer the vehicle. If you don't transfer the vehicle in a certain time, you could be taxed heavily. It move up from $1,000 going up to $2,000 now. Where people getting that money? I know, for instance, CPO people who were just recently removed from their jobs that took out vehicles, right? But they haven't transferred that yet. At this economic stage now, where are they going to get that money if this law is amended tomorrow? What about this thing now? You're coming with the gambling as tax now. I mean, yes, not everybody gambling, but you have this tax on the machines and the custom excise on alcohol. You have obliterated now what you call the tourism sector, right? That I'm talking about bars and all these things, bars and hospitality. You have obliterated that now. So this means you're affecting now commoners people, right? People who cannot get jobs right now in government work, possibly in organizations, private sector. So you're going after the low income earner. What is going on here, Pastor? That is unreasonable. That is not a government that is loving or caring for anybody. They don't have they just want to feed their friends because you've seen it. All nepotism is coming back. It's the same repetition of the UNC of 2010, 2015. After tomorrow, God help us all. God help me and all too, because I might have to pray a little more harder, maybe pray and fast, because the way I'm seeing it, the same Prime Minister said who you cannot tax a country into prosperity, right, is doing the same thing. She is doing the same thing. And we just have to be prepared as a city, as a nation, and hopefully when we get the chance to voice our opinions, we all come out and stand strong against this government. Thank you, Pastor. Have a very good weekend.
Thank you very much for your call. All right, so that's the youth speaking. That is the youth speaking. Okay. So again, I want to remind you guys that we're doing our hamper drive for the holidays, and we're asking you to make your contribution. You can WhatsApp me and make your contributions. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening again, Pastor. I want to thank the young gentleman there for his insightful observations and the response that he gave with respect to who is out of the 20,000 being hired. I'll leave that there for now. But yes, tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting in the Parliament. And yes, it's going to be the small man is going to be affected, because let's say if you recall, earlier this year, a police officer was awarded from the Minister of not national security, but
Homeland Security.
Homeland Security, but he overed almost 2,000 tickets that he wrote. You know, they were proud to, shake his and many other hands, and they were proud of him. So in other words, they were telling him, well, you continue to do what you're doing. And apparently, when I spoke to John Benoit this morning on his program, John Benoit agreed with me that this government intends to get money from you and I, or to make money through these means of tickets and like Carnival is coming up, if you drink 2 beers and they have roadblocks and they catch you and they tell you blow. And when they check your record, this is the second time you're being caught. That is $24,000, maybe more. And if it's the third time, it will go up to $45,000. Now, how many of us have $45,000 saying now that they give the government? Because the third time we have been caught with our alcohol intake over 0.08. You have a choice. And then what happens if you can't pay? That wasn't even discussed as yet. I haven't heard, because Mr. Benoit asked the question. And I couldn't answer him. I said, well, I don't know what they're going to do. I'm waiting to hear what they will do, because at the end of the day, these are the same people who were saying that he paid them like the tax. Prakash Amara was the Axi tax man. Up to today, 8 months down the road, I haven't heard a word from Prakash Amara with respect to axing the tax, or to the 4 divers' monies, as well as Chris Budram $1 million that this present regime promised to pay as soon as they got into office. Apparently, it's not important anymore. Right? They promised to drop corporation tax down to 18%. Nothing of the sort. So therefore, you see, you say one thing, and the young man is correct. Many of us would not have learnt that this is what transpired between 2010 and 2015, and we may come and make the same mistake again. And here we are again, and it's going to be even worse. Because when you have people before the court who have to pay a $12,000 fine for the first time being caught with the alcoholic breath over 0.08, where they getting that money from, Pastor Google? Or a broken tail light? Or a smooth tire? Huh? where people going to get that type of money from to pay those type of bills? And this is what is going to be happening to people of Trinidad and Tobago, people who are paying rent. Every time you have a little annex to rent out, you have to register, and you have to pay a particular tax. If you have a bar and you have those machines in the bar, you have to pay taxes on those machines. Yes. So where are we going with all of this? So, according to Tony Lee this morning, better you walk. Because it don't make sense driving. It's the safest way for you. And if you own more than one car, well, let's say you have to transfer a vehicle, you don't transfer within 7 days. How they will know in 7 days? How they will know? And these are some of the questions that we can't even be asked. I could ask you and you could ask me, but we don't really have the answers. And the only way we'll find out the answer is if something goes wrong, and then somebody is penalized, and then we'll know exactly what the penalty is by way of news, and that might be the only way. Even the same thing with the home invasion. There are so many questions and not many answers with respect to this home invasion issue. How do you know who is police and who is thief when they come in with the same black vehicle and blue lights, and in the same police attire? But when they get inside, there is not really police. What do you do? Parasar Rari asks about the low-income people. Will they be allowed to acquire guns to maintain their own little dwelling houses? Just like the rich bourgeois and them. Would they be allowed to the over 250,000 people who have little houses all over the place? Because a man's home is his castle. It didn't say whether it has to be expensive, or big or small. How do we determine? Or is this just for a certain set of people, Pastor Google? These are the questions we have to ask. So while police trying to take guns off the road, it's that more guns going to be coming onto the streets. So when a man come in to raid your home, he might assume you have a firearm. You think he come in to say, well, he come in with a cutlass? You might say, let me shoot first and then see what we get. These are some of the questions we have to be asking, Pastor. Where are we going with this government? Where are we going? And nobody seems to want to answer. Nobody wants to seem to care. You understand? The Prime Minister, she's really being interviewed on her way to Parliament. She is not holding no media conference, nothing of the sort. All of them, most of them, as a matter of fact, are being questioned on their way to Parliament. No certain media conferences anymore.
They didn't have any today?
I didn't see any, Pastor Google. I did not see any. To be fair, I did not look. So it may have.
Cabinet didn't meet? Okay.
Right? It may have had, but I don't think so, because when I heard the news tonight, certain questions were being asked of the Prime Minister to answer with respect to the second killing of the boat in the sea where people died, that did not want to blame that the hit came from Trinidad. And they said that up to now she has not responded, so therefore I want to be of the firm view that there may not have been a post-cabinet meeting today.
All right.
Because I think that would have been surely one of the questions that would have been asked. You know? Because they're looking to blame somebody except Peter Exef.
Yeah, man.
The Minister of War. The Secretary of War, sorry. So I don't know. I'm just asking the questions that the young man would be asking as a follow-up, really. Okay. But tomorrow will be very, very interesting.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, good evening.
Pastor.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, on the subject of the finance bill tomorrow, I need to pay careful attention to this particular provision, where the borrowing limit will be raised from 45 million to from 50 million, to 45 billion. And this from an administration, Mr. Tanku in his presentation spoke about the debt to GDP ratio and how it was harmful to the economy. So what is the reason that will be advanced for asking for this limit to be increased? Is it for the revitalization plan? Following on the heels of Minister John's visit to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and so on to get financing, right? And the thing about such an increase is if it goes to the limit of, let's say, borrowing of 50 billion, that will be a debt your son, my children, and possible grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be paying back. And if that is what all your plan is in terms of advancing the country, then to see that the PNM destroyed the economy in the last 9 years is a bold-faced lie that was sold to the public of Trinidad and Tobago. Right? So I am eagerly looking forward to how they will explain that. And as Brian said, you're both about removing the wicked and autocratic demerit points. But when a fine can raise to as high as 45,000 for a traffic offense that was not there before under the demerit points, what you really saying to the public? You understand? And check it out. This is when you're already telling them that you can bring in foreign used vehicles as old as 8 years. Remember we spoke about that last week and I told you my concerns about that?
Yeah.
All these things people have to consider when you're going and buy a new 8-year-old vehicle. So your vehicle has to be in tip-top shape. Right? And if it's not in tip-top shape, you will pay out of your pocket. Whether your salary increase was 10%, 4%, or 5%. And coming from January, in the next 2 successive Januaries is increases in your NIB contributions. And then the gradual increase to retirement age and getting the NIS pension at 65 or at the highest rates. Have a good evening, people. Consider all these things and how it will affect you and your family's future. Thank you, Pastor, for the opportunity again.
Well, tomorrow, the lower house will debate the finance bill, which typically is a standard piece of legislation that follows the passage of the national budget. Its purpose is to give legal effect to some of the policies and measures announced in the fiscal package. But contained in tomorrow's bill are several increases to fines and taxes, most notably adjustments to penalties for motor vehicle offences, such as raising the fine for drunk driving from $12,000 to $24,000. The bill will also pave the way for the implementation of the new NIS rates and the implementation of the landlord surcharge.
Yes, Pastor. I'm here again. I'm saying, to all the intelligent contributors of Trinidad and Tobago, kudos, because I like intelligent people who've seen what's going on. You know what I mean? Because that bill that's going to happen in the Parliament tomorrow, please God, going to be very vital because it's going to affect a lot of people. You understand? You know? And I would like people to know, understand what's going on in this country so that we could stand firm and understand what has been done to us. Because look at what I'm trying to say is like this. Look at Carnival, right? Take a look at Carnival. Everything that is being put in place is to make sure the Carnival is put on hold. Because when you check it out, you know, it's a scare tactic that's taking place. You're going to do so now. In the sense, all the 100% tax rise. Now you're coming now and dealing with drivers the vehicles on the road, and this kind of, exorbitant rise in fines, you think about it's a scare tactic. People will be afraid to do a lot of things, stymie the movement of people. You know what I mean? And these are things people that look at, because as I tell you, I don't want to be sounding like a person who trying to incite anything, but it's a authoritarian mentality that's taking place here. And we have to be very mindful of it, because we have a constitution, right? And Castle Google, and we have a constitution.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And we have to be very mindful that we have a constitution. And two things in the constitution that are very important: freedom of speech and freedom of movement. And when that is taken away from you, it come like you're living in a land. Your sovereignty get weak and disappearing slowly but surely. I like the people to think about that. And I like the people to pray to and know that no weapon that is formed against us shall prosper. I'm going here now. Have a blessed one.
Thank you very much. All right, on the heels of that caller, I want to say thank you all very much for being with me this evening. And I want to remind you guys, please be a part of our hamper drive. Please be a part of our hamper drive. Just WhatsApp me on 464-7003, 464-7003, and we'll tell you how to make your contributions. All right, so again, I want to thank all of you for being with me this evening on Constructive Talk. Please, you can join the page tomorrow. I will try my best to show part of the debate and also, highlight some of the things that's happening. So again, what I would like for you to do, please, those of you who would have indicated on the live that you would be a part of our hamper drive, please do so by, sending a WhatsApp message. Send a WhatsApp message to 464-7003, 464-7003. Be a part also of this fundraiser. All right, a bingo that's happening at St. John's Community Center in San Fernando. You can be a part of it. So again, let me say thank you to all of you for being a part of Constructive Talk this evening. God bless you. Talk to you guys on Monday. If something happens tomorrow that you think that I think needs or warrant our discussion or awareness, you know that I will jump on. So have a blessed one. Stay strong. Grace and peace. Be blessed. Please call or send a message to 464-7003 on our hamper drive.